Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us for our Monday weather update recorded on the 7th of April. Let's get into the forecast. There's a lot going on in the next couple of days with a big cold blast on the way for the South Island. You can see it here on the animated satellite map, this blob of speckled cloud between Tasmania and Stewart Island out at sea, and that is moving in towards the South Island. But before it arrives, northwesterly winds pushing away other cloudy areas out to sea, and I've got a couple of showers moving into the western side of New Zealand, otherwise fairly dry for now. That southerly change is on its way, already has brought snow to the tops of the hills and ranges around Tasmania over the weekend, and all of that is sliding east towards the South Island. On the animated wind map for this evening, low pressure in the dark shading, so you can see we are under more low pressure than we are under high pressure, so not a surprise that we've got a very unsettled Tuesday on the way. But this evening, from Northland to Southland, those westerly winds are blowing through, strongest around central New Zealand, so Cook Strait, Wellington Wider upper area, the Marlborough Sounds, and also up around Auckland. Bit of a westerly wind tunnel as well over Monday and Tuesday with brisk winds off the Tasman Sea. Two-day rainfall brought to you by resupply.co.nz. Eastern areas from Canterbury northwards are fairly dry, not a huge amount of rain coming through. South Canterbury, Otago, you do have a chance of getting some better rainfall, maybe even up to 30 millimetres there, but really most of the rain falling on the west coast. That's where you're seeing 60 to 80 millimetres of rain coming through. And the good news is for some of the drought and very dry parts of the Western North Island, we're also getting a little bit of follow-up rain. It's not a huge amount, but maybe 10, 20, maybe 30 millimetres here and there. That's really good after the rain we had last week. My dead lawn in Auckland, dead for 3 months, brown, no green at all. Now's green, just from the rain last week. So that's great news, but we need follow-up rain to really make a difference, and that's what we're tracking here. Some follow-up rain on Tuesday. Look at this low east of the eastern South Island. That's helping to dredge up a southerly along with the big high coming out of Tasmania. So the blast that's hitting Tasmania over the weekend reaches us by Tuesday. Snow on the Southern Alps down to maybe several hundred metres, so kind of lower down than it's been so far this year. It should be a white dusting of snow along the tops of those mountains. But in the North Island, westerly winds to northwesterly winds, they'll be mild, but those showers off the Tasman Sea might be a little bit squally as we transition away from the warmer to the cooler weather that is moving on through. And strong winds here and there. It depends on where you are. This is all moving across the country as we go through the day. The coldest of the weather, though, pretty much over the South Island. It just comes into the lower half of the North Island briefly overnight Tuesday and early Wednesday, which is why when you wake up on Wednesday morning, we've got a chance of some frosts around. Now, most of that is inland and through the mountains and the ranges. Coastal areas, as you can see in the white shading, not looking frosty. So not the populated areas so much that are in that frost risk. But this is kind of one of the first big frost risks we've seen this year. But it's not that major just yet. In fact, most places are still leaning warmer than average. So this cold change is overdue. Not looking so cold for the North Island, but around Central Plateau, certainly those temperatures getting down on Wednesday night and then maybe more so going into Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Here is lunchtime Wednesday. You notice the timestamp now says noon, not 1 p.m. That's the daylight saving shift. So you've got high pressure out in the Tasman Sea. That is moving on in, bulldozing away the cold blast. This is it here now, and it's moving into the Chatham Islands for Wednesday. The rest of New Zealand sees a slightly warmer change coming. In the South Island, certainly that arrives on Wednesday morning. It starts to move up the country as we go through Wednesday, but it may not be till Thursday that the North Island gets a slight uptick in temperatures. Still got a few showers along the western side, otherwise mostly dry, and a few showers down around Stewart Island and Southland. Through to Thursday, and we are back to high pressure. We talked about this last week. Great news to have the rain last week. Great news to have a follow-up burst of rain and showers over the next 24, 36 hours. But by the time we're into the middle to later part of the week, smack bang with high pressure over the top of us. Storms in the Southern Ocean where they should be. The tropics not overly energetic, although there is actually a tropical cyclone we expect around the Timor Sea. That's worth monitoring over the next couple of days, but no threat to New Zealand. It's a threat to Timor, not even really Australia at this stage. So it's a pretty settled weather pattern, very similar to what our Climate Watch update said last week, that the tropics is in a neutral phase, the Southern Ocean's in a neutral phase, and we've still got a lot of high pressure coming out of the south of Australia and over New Zealand. So we are not yet done with the dry weather. but we're seeing a lot more life bubbling up around us. The Southern Ocean's getting stormier, and that's normal for this time of the year. And we're seeing a lot more energy in the tropics going into next week. It's still nothing locked in yet as far as New Zealand's concerned, but you notice here into the subtropics and coming down to the northern part of the North Island, the easterly winds return, and that drives in some showers to the top of New Zealand during the weekend. A few showers for Westland as well, with a opposite wind direction, a westerly coming in for you. So by Saturday, this disturbance to the north remains. It's trying to sink into low pressure. That's why you can kind of see a dent in the isobars sort of dropping down as it comes into the New Zealand area. But the high pressure zone coming out of Tassie is expanding like a big lung, taking a big deep breath, and that pushes back against that rain. It's doing the same thing into Australia, expanding out into Australia, keeping a huge part of Australia very dry as we go in through the weekend and into next week as well. So our final map for Sunday shows a few things. High pressure dominating New Zealand, so that's the main feature, dry for the most part. Easterly winds, the other feature to the top of the country, still got a bit of a trough north of us, a bit of a pothole in the sky with a few showers stuck in it. And then that big easterly carries on into Australia. The other feature, tropical cyclone here off the coast of the Kimberley of Western Australia. That's not looking like a threat to Australia just yet. And then in the Southern Ocean, storms where they should be, westerlies where they should be. That is all autumn's windy weather just to the south of us. So we've got a taste of autumn and winter this week. Then we're back to settled high pressure. That's all from me. I'll see you again tomorrow, Tuesday, as we take a closer look as to what's going on with all these southerlies, high pressure, and what might be happening after the next high pressure zone moves through. We'll see you again tomorrow.